Imagine, if you will, that you're on the frozen deck of a sailing vessel off the west coast of Greenland. On your left, there's a fortress of rock 5,000 feet high. On your right, there's a cathedral of icebergs floating and looming over you. And dead in front of you, there's a massive glacier that creaks and groans. And also, someone's joined you for breakfast. This is your 8th sighting of a polar bear. He's joining you for breakfast, and you've called him, or the crew has quickly called him, Pancake. The air is so crisp that it hurts to breathe. It's truly spectacular. And you never thought in your wildest dreams that you would experience this. Like me, you're not a professional scientist. You're someone who just 6 months ago might have been an accountant, a gardener, a bus driver, or whatever. But right now, you're making history by gathering irrefutable evidence, data about climate change and ocean facts and figures. This is right from the end of the earth, ladies and gentlemen, and it's never been gathered before. Now, I'm an ordinary bloke, or as you might say, a regular guy. I come from an unprivileged background, and school for me was a bit of a problem. I was the school practical joker, and that was much more fun than matters academic. So I scraped through with enough qualifications to go to university, but I chose not to. I wanted to get on with life, so I don't have any degrees or accolades. But for the last 40 years, I've managed to somehow, and thanks to the indigenous populations of northern Canada, their kindness and their generosity and their knowledge, I've managed to witness, explore firsthand the changes that are going on with climate up in those regions, the dramatic changes. Since 2001, I've trained over 500 people to be polar explorers, modern-day polar explorers, but they're ordinary people, novices from all walks of life, all echelons of society. I've led 7 major expeditions gathering crucial data for our climate change scientists, which are some of the best in the world. And luckily enough, I've been written up and cited as data gatherers in some of the world's best magazines, including the Smithsonian and the Scientific American, I must say. So I'm very lucky. I'm also not given to spin, bluff, petty politics or exaggeration, but I want you to remember one particular figure. Since I started in 1984, we have lost 95% of old sea ice up in the Arctic. That's sea ice that stays around all year. That, to me, as a humble human being, means we have a serious problem. But do ordinary people even know about that? And are we really facing up to this sort of problem and tackling it as a species in danger? I believe we're facing a paradox in terms of tackling climate change. While many of us recognize that something's happening, confusion reigns. The enormity of the situation is overwhelming. Detachment is easy, and apathy is totally understandable and sadly all around us. At the exact moment we need everyone to be engaged and involved, so many are tired of the media's melodrama, doom-casting, and conflicting rhetoric. And many are questioning, in fact, the validity of science and data, which are unveiling some of the greatest tests to humanity that we experience at the moment. But here's the fascinating part. We spend billions launching satellites and deploying sophisticated auto-sensing devices to monitor our planet. Yet these devices all need calibration. They all need their data to be validated by human-gathered empirical data, ground truthing. Without this, discrepancies that occur through modeling appear all over the place and puts a test to climate science itself, the noise that climate scientists have. As well as that, vast regions of our oceans remain unsampled and unresearched, particularly in the extreme environments, where research is both hideously expensive and very challenging. These gaps aren't just academic, they're blind spots in understanding our changing world. Without comprehensive data that is verified and shared, we cannot understand the risks we take, we cannot make precise predictions, and we cannot develop solutions properly unless we can measure their value, their effectiveness, and their impact. I wholeheartedly believe that we need to dramatically enhance our data gathering, put a better finger on the pulse of the planet, and involve the general public fundamentally in doing so. So, what if we partner with the world's foremost scientists and organizations? What if we recruit ordinary people from all walks of life, all echelons of society, and many nations of our planet, with the support of their own communities? What if we put them all on a flotilla of readily available, inexpensive sailing vessels, expedition sailing vessels, which have probably better access to more remote regions in any case? And what if we sail them on high latitude critical transects in these extreme regions where there is a paucity of data? And we apply leading-edge technologies and state-of-the-art instrumentation. Then and only then will we be measuring, benchmarking, monitoring, and reporting on change as it happens, and broadcasting it globally. Now, the key to making this successful lies in the portrayal of this fascinating story of human resilience and human endeavor as it unfolds, online, on TV, on app, on YouTube, on digital billboards, on immersive interactive dashboards, in key high-footfall areas, such as airports and train stations and museums. In other words, in the very best fashion we possibly can. Every member of each crew will tell their tale, professionals and amateurs alike, warts and all. So where they come from, who they are, what they do, what makes them do this sort of thing, and how they're faring. The wows, the troughs, the peaks, the amazing camaraderie, which will last forever, I can assure you. And as a bonus, when they return, they are changed people. I call it the walk tall syndrome. They're much better people. They're much more balanced, quietly so. They're much more confident, self-assured, and they can deal with pretty much anything that their community will give them. Imagine commuting to work and encountering massive interactive dashboard, a massive interactive dashboard. Each day, different crew members tell their own story in their own way. It's captivating. It's a human interest story. It's real reality TV, if you like, giving access to and bringing alive the most remote regions on this planet. Alongside this, live ocean data, which doesn't exist at the moment. Temperatures at depths, salinity levels, acidification metrics, biodiversity, and loads more, all explained. The intuitive interface making complex data simple and relevant to everyone. It's not hidden away in some academic journal. It's publicly accessible and absorbable. This is science democratized. This initiative is not just about data collection. It's about creating a new public space where science meets society. We're not just creating informed citizens, we're building a global network of ocean advocates who can all speak from personal experience. Through our ocean dashboards, we will tell their stories, show their discoveries, and that will inspire others every single day. Let me be crystal clear that these problems transcend politics. They transcend commerce, and they are absolutely up to us as individuals to deal with. Silence and inaction are no longer options. The ice is melting, time is ticking, and we need you, every single one of you. Remember I said I've witnessed climate change for 40 years? Well, I've also witnessed something else that's quite amazing. When you hand ordinary people a purpose bigger than themselves, then they are unstoppable. They transform. They become quite extraordinary. Scaling this initiative is very easy. The more boats you have, the more people you have, the more data you gather, the more significant that data becomes. And the more dashboards you have showing that story, the more impact the whole thing has. If you really cannot, and I can't think why, see yourself joining me on that icy foredeck, please consider what role you might take in this critical mission. Finally, I implore you to all switch on, tune in, and act now. If we together can pull this off, and it needs funding, then science will meet society, ordinary people will become extraordinary, and immediate, irrefutable evidence of exactly what's happening right now will be gathered and broadcast. And if that happens, then confusion turns to clarity, apathy turns into engagement, and action comes into being. Thank you very much.